Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Dr. Michelle Gamble, and I'm coming to you from Sankofa. I thank you for joining me because I know that there's so many other things that you could be doing right now, including watching Netflix and Hulu and things of that nature. But I want to congratulate you on choosing to be here and choosing to be curious, if nothing else. And for some of us, to be questioning, because as being a part of a democracy, that is our fundamental right to question the world that is around us. Now, today, before I go into the three deadly dangers of social distancing, I first want to begin with just taking a deep cleansing breath in and letting it out. Take another deep cleansing breath in and letting it out. And continue breathing slowly and deeply into your heart center for 4 counts and breathing out for 4 counts. Allow yourself to shift from whatever feelings of anxiety, fear, trepidation, confusion, anxiousness that you may be experiencing, and releasing that and allowing yourself to find your center, to become the calm in the midst of the storm. You see, it is essential to me that you gravitate towards this center because, unlike the sensational news programs that you are being bombarded with 24/7, my goal is not to instill drama, and I'm not here to instill panic or fear because I'm not here to promote any kind of ratings. I'm not here to ensure pharmaceutical companies or anything of that nature. What I want us to do today is to consider some of the ramifications of the strategy that our government has chosen and the consequences that are going to play themselves out for the next couple of weeks, months, or even years. As you continue to breathe deeply and slowly and remain in your center so that you are not activating the fear center of the brain, referred to as the amygdala, which hijacks your ability to activate the executive functioning of the cerebral cortex. We want to ensure that as you listen to me today, you are clear. You are able to make decisions based on clarity of thought rather than the induction of fear and paranoia. Let us begin talking about 3 of the main deadly dangers of social distancing. The first one is that I want to really look at this term social distancing because in reality, it is a euphemism and it's misleading because we're not really distancing ourselves socially. If truth be told, we're being even more social now than ever before, but social in the sense of chatter, gossip. In reality, what we term social distancing should more accurately be termed physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual isolation. Because as we chatter from compartments of being separated from others. And that isolation gives us the trepidation of thinking that others are our enemy. I'm saddened when I hear about churches and church members, mosque members, temple members not being able to come together in prayer within proximity because of the regulations. I shudder to think about those of us in our community that even prior to this were already feeling isolated and in zones of despair. Because have no doubt, the chatter of Facebook and Instagram and things of that nature are not replacements for one-to-one contact, the physical embrace, the touch of the hand, the proximity of beings where you're able to feel the aura of another person who is near you. And the reality is that even prior to all of this, a couple of years ago, the importance of people coming together and the risk of emotional isolation was brought to light in the United Kingdom, in England, where they created a position called the Minister of Loneliness, because they came to realize and understand that loneliness is more of a risk factor for the leading causes of death than smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. The mental isolation where we think that we are alone and that others are like Trojan horses bringing death and destruction to us. We are emotionally isolated. I have no idea of how this is going to pan itself out, because we have now started to indoctrinate this fear and this paranoia into our children. And long after the quote unquote lockdowns have been released, they will be living with this trauma of believing that others are against them and that they are separate from others. That is why I'm doing this session with you, to implore to you to defy those concepts that tell us that we need to be separated, and to embrace the ones that you love and even the ones that you don't know or love. Because what the world needs now is love, and people who have the courage to love despite this fear. Now, the second danger that I want to talk to you about, which will in actuality perhaps help you to break free from this notion of social distancing, is the fact that unfortunately we're being thrown a red herring. We're being told that the big bad wolf is the coronavirus. And so we are locking ourselves away, shuttering ourselves and barricading the door, thinking that the big bad wolf coronavirus is out there and we are safe within the confines of our homes. Little do many of us realize that you are more likely to die from being inside of your house than you are to die from the coronavirus. Every year, 650,000 people die from cardiovascular diseases. And guess what? This social isolation increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. The fact that we are not touching and activating oxytocin and DHEA and other healing factors increases the cortisol production and therefore increases our risks. At the same time, decreasing our immune system potential. So we are barricading ourselves into our homes to be more at risk for depression and suicide, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. Because as we're barricading ourselves, we are not moving. We're sitting in front of TVs and other devices that are emanating electromagnetic frequencies, increasing our risk of death. We're not eating right because guess what? We can order fast food junk nonsense to come to us. And as we sit on our sofas, as the commercial for Burger King came out, and promoting being a couch patriot. So you can sit down, lay down on your sofa and slough down Whoppers. And guess what? They're going to donate some Whoppers to our medical professionals. So you can be patriotic in eating the Whopper and giving yourself a heart attack. So that is the second deadly danger, because we have the illusion of being safe, thinking that the danger lies outside of our doors, as opposed to realizing that the true danger lies within. The true danger is a set of chronic ailments that is pervasive in our nation, where 75% of us are more susceptible to things like viruses because we have imbalances. Imbalances that we have within our power to reverse. Imbalances that we can diminish in order to rebuild our vitality and strengthen our resilience so that we are capable of being vital and healthy and strong in the midst of any viral storm. Now, the third danger of social distancing is what is termed the deaths of despair. And this is what really is a dire fact to consider. As we are in this seemingly endless period of lockdowns, because no one can really tell us when they're going to lift this ban. And as this proceeds, more and more people are becoming unemployed. And unfortunately, this unemployment will not resolve itself when the lockdown is lifted. Because by that time, many of the businesses, the small businesses that employed these people who are now unemployed, will be gone forever. Now, Big Pharma doesn't have to worry about it. Big conglomerates like Walmart and Sam's and Costco and Dollar Tree and Dollar General and McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King and all of them, they're going to be fine. But the small businesses, which are the building block of our nation, their existence, their very existence is threatened by this. And the millions of Americans that are now unemployed, many of them will have no jobs to go back to. In fact, the unemployment rate in our nation has increased by almost 9% over the past 2 months due to the lockdown strategy employed by our nation. And this causes what we refer to as the deaths of despair, because our historical data has told us that for every 1% of increase in unemployment that you observe, there is a corresponding 60,000 or more people that will die as a consequence over the succeeding 3 to 5 years. So now when we take that 60,000 and we multiply it by the 9% increase in unemployment that we've seen, you're talking about 540,000 people, and that's the low end of this estimate, that will die as a consequence of unemployment. Because see, this unemployment causes a variety of things, such as despair and despondency and depression, such as not being able to buy the foods that we need to be healthy and strong, and therefore becoming more susceptible to things like diabetes and hypertension and strokes and cardiovascular diseases and things of that nature. And that is what we need to consider, that there are consequences. And as our nation becomes more and more unemployed and we hide behind our doors and the rates of domestic violence increases and our alcohol consumption and our consumption of brain numbing intoxicants like marijuana increase astronomically, because we don't want to feel the pain of what is going on. We don't want to think. We just want it to all go away. And as we seek these zones of escape, despair seeps into our families. And as I said, domestic violence increases and our children are at risk. So now, the key point that I want to bring out to you is the importance of fighting for your very lives, which means to not buy into this paranoia of the virus and to recognize that your truth and power lies in reversing the imbalances that you have control over. You have control over your blood glucose. You have control over your hypertension. You have control over your cardiovascular system. You can heal yourself from those things. To reach out to the ones you love and the ones that you may not know, and to offer a hug, to offer a touch. And as you prepare some of us for that slide into unemployment, my heart reaches out to you. And I encourage you to go deep into prayer and ask that infinite wisdom within you if perhaps this is the time for you to transition into something that is new and wondrous, that speaks to your heart. Perhaps this was the opportunity to become untethered to a particular job that was killing you softly and quietly. I don't know. All that I know, brothers and sisters, is that we are in a time that gives us an opportunity for transformation, but only if we recognize the dangers that lurk within the very confines of the homes that we have been shuttered to. I ask you to keep in mind these three dangers that I've mentioned, and to find ways of dissipating the intensity of how it can affect your life and the life of others in our community and our nation as a whole. My deepest desire is that you move through this chaos by being the center of calm and peace, with a sense of protection, of power, of passion, and purpose, knowing that you are a divine, divine creature and you will overcome. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to hearing your responses.